Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Taylor, co-owner of VeganProteins online coaching, and today we are going to be talking about willpower. We all have that list of things we want to do or we know we should do because, well, they're good for us. Whether it's going to the gym, eating healthier, or maybe just getting up a bit earlier to tackle the day. But let's be honest, actually doing these things can feel like an impossible uphill battle. Why is it so goddamn hard to follow through on things we want to do for ourselves? Many of us have heard that motivation is fleeting and you should rely on discipline, and this is true. But what this statement overlooks is that in order to develop discipline, we need to exert a fair amount of willpower, at least initially. A lot of folks mix up willpower and discipline thinking they're one and the same, but willpower is actually just the starting line on the track to achieving true discipline. It's that initial action, or sometimes lack thereof, that you need to get moving towards your goals while developing discipline. So in today's video, we're going to dive deep into the world of willpower or self-control, which for the purposes of our conversation today are going to be used interchangeably. We're going to unpack what willpower really is, why it seems like we never have enough of it, and how it plays a crucial role in our lives. More importantly, we're going to talk about some of the strategies and insights to not only understand our willpower, but also to strengthen it. Because improving our willpower can be a game changer that we need to finally stick to those good for us habits. So let's get into it. The psychology of self-control is really a fascinating topic that touches on every aspect of our lives. It's often believed that if we possessed greater self-control, our lives would dramatically improve. Imagine eating healthier, exercising more regularly, avoiding harmful substances, saving diligently for retirement, and procrastinating less, thus achieving numerous goals. The American Psychological Association's annual Stress in America survey, which explores, among other things, people's ability to implement healthy lifestyle changes. A common theme amongst respondents is the belief that a lack of motivation prevents them from making these changes. Interestingly, in 2011, 27% of participants identified insufficient willpower as the biggest barrier to making lifestyle changes. Even though many people believe that, the human spirit being what it is, a lot of those people still hold on to the hope that willpower can be developed through practice. So, how can individuals resist temptation? Recent studies have unveiled interesting insights into the mechanisms of self-control, highlighting that the inability to achieve goals often comes from multiple factors. Achieving goals really requires three things: understanding the big why behind your desired changes, monitoring behavior towards the goals, and, crucially, exercising willpower. People don't like to talk about this part because it's the part that you can't just check off a list. It's the part where you have to dig deep inside of yourself and find a strength that maybe you don't even know if you have or not. What is willpower? Willpower is the capacity to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term benefits, and its role in success cannot be overstated. One study at the University of Pennsylvania demonstrated that willpower was a more reliable predictor of academic success than even IQ points in 8th graders. Their research found that students with high levels of willpower had better grades, better attendance, better standardized test scores, and were more likely to gain admission into competitive high schools. Similar patterns have been observed in studies focusing on college students' willpower and its correlation with academic performance, self-esteem, and social behaviors. A study in New Zealand followed 1,000 individuals from birth all the way to age 32, revealing that childhood self-control significantly influenced physical and mental health, substance use, criminal convictions, and financial stability into adulthood. Willpower, a term interwoven with concepts like purpose, drive, resolve, self-discipline, and self-control, is richly defined by psychologists. It's understood as the ability to delay gratification, resisting the lure of immediate pleasure for long-term results. It's the strength to manage unwanted thoughts, feelings, or urges, and to act guided by a rational, cool system rather than an impulsive, hot emotional response. The concept of delaying satisfaction was vividly demonstrated over 40 years ago by Dr. Walter Mischel through the now famous marshmallow test. You may have even heard of it. This experiment involved offering 5-year-old kids a choice between one marshmallow right away, or they could have 2 if they could wait until the researcher returned, which was 15 minutes. This test provided insights into the nature of self-control, showcasing the ability to forego immediate rewards for future gains, a principle applicable both to children and adults across various contexts. Mitchell's findings also paved the way for understanding the mechanisms of willpower through the hot and cool system theory. The cool system operates on logic and reasoning, helping to resist immediate temptations by focusing on long-term goals. In contrast, the hot system reacts to stimuli with immediate emotion-driven responses, often undermining our self-control. Now, it was not a perfect study, but the initial findings of these early childhood behaviors on self-control were profound at the time. Mitchell observed that the ability to wait for the second marshmallow was linked to better SAT scores, stress management, and concentration abilities later in life. This suggests a long-lasting impact of self-control abilities developed in early childhood. Further research followed individuals from the original marshmallow test into their 40s, using tests to assess self-control in adults. The differences in willpower observed in childhood persisted into adulthood, indicating that sensitivity to hot stimuli and the capacity for self-control might be traits that endure throughout one's life. Using an MRI, the research team looked into the brain activity of individuals exhibiting various levels of self-control when faced with tempting stimuli. The findings revealed distinct differences. Those with higher self-control showed increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain right behind your forehead that is associated with decision-making and executive functions. On the other hand, individuals with lower self-control exhibited more activity in the ventral striatum, an area thought to govern desires and rewards. While this research offers a neurobiological perspective on the struggle between desire and restraint, it also shows that we really need more research into why some people are more susceptible to emotional triggers and whether these patterns can be altered. Willpower as a finite resource. Many of us have noticed that willpower diminishes over time. At breakfast, you're making great choices, but by 6 p.m., not so much. Similar to a muscle that fatigues after extensive exercise, self-control can be drained by constantly needing to resist temptation. This theory was first evidenced in experiments by Roy Baumeister's lab, where subjects in a room filled with the aroma of freshly baked cookies and even a display of cookies were told to eat radishes instead. Many of them were not happy about this. Some of them looked longingly at the cookie table and even picked them up to smell them. After this experiment, they had the group do a brain puzzle. It was clear as day that the group who had to resist the cookies did more poorly on the test than the group that just got to eat the cookies. This phenomenon, termed ego depletion, suggests that our self-control is finite and can be exhausted when we use it too much. There are other studies that reinforce this idea of willpower depletion. For example, one study had people either watch a sad movie where they were told not to cry, or a comedy and told not to laugh. So basically, they had to suppress their natural emotions for an extended period of time. In unrelated tests afterwards, they performed more poorly than the control groups. To me, this shows that daily challenges requiring self-restraint, such as being polite in challenging situations and social interactions, can significantly deplete our willpower reserves. In fact, there have been studies that found that social exertion, like trying to engage an unfriendly audience, can be particularly taxing on our self-control resources. Other factors that can influence willpower. Could there be biological reasons for losing our self-control? The brain is an incredibly high-energy organ that relies on glucose for optimal functioning. It's hypothesized that the needing to demonstrate a lot of self-control can deplete glucose levels in brain cells. This theory is supported by studies, including one involving dogs, where those exerting self-control showed a drop in blood glucose compared to those who didn't. Human studies also mirror these findings, indicating that engaging in self-control tasks can lower blood sugar levels. On the plus side, boosting glucose levels appears to replenish diminished willpower, so at least there's an easy fix for this one: eat. Personal beliefs and attitudes can also play a crucial role in self-control. They found that individuals motivated by internal desires and needs showed willpower compared to those driven by external pressures or to conform to please others. Mood also influences self-control dynamics. Positive emotions induced by humor or unexpected gifts have been shown to mitigate the effects of self-control depletion. This aligns with findings of a team at Stanford University, which highlights the impact of one's fundamental beliefs about the nature of willpower. The study suggests that individuals who don't believe that willpower is an exhaustible resource do not exhibit the typical signs of willpower depletion. This raises intriguing questions about the finite nature of willpower. While some argue that willpower is indeed a limited resource, evidenced by extensive research over the past decade, others suggest that factors such as mood, beliefs, and attitudes can influence our capacity for self-control. Studies are still being done, but I think it's fair to say that they are both likely a bit right. We may be hardwired for a certain amount of willpower that depletes with constant use, but there also may be certain things we can do to improve it, which we will get to in a minute. So how does this relate to health and fitness? The importance of self-control is especially evident in maintaining a healthy weight, a struggle backed by research. However, exerting self-control can also paradoxically make subsequent temptations harder to resist. Karen Vose and Todd Heatherton of Dartmouth College illustrated this in a study where dieting students consumed more ice cream after being asked to suppress their emotions while watching a sad movie. This phenomenon points to emotional eating not as a response to feelings per se, but as a consequence of the depletion of self-control resources. The motivation behind resisting temptations plays a significant role in how well we work. Some research suggests that personal beliefs and attitudes can make us stronger against the draining effects of self-control exertion. For instance, individuals who refrained from eating cookies out of personal choice showed greater success in subsequent tasks than those who did so to comply with external expectations. Economic status. It's also worth noting that the impact of willpower depletion becomes even more pronounced amongst poorer populations. One study in rural India highlighted the added strain of limited financial resources on self-control. The opportunity to purchase discounted soap led individuals from a poorer village to show marked decrease in willpower, which was measured by comparing their performance on physical endurance tests both before and after they were offered the deal. Participants from a wealthier village showed no significant change in willpower after the deal. This research was then extended to American shoppers, noting that while all consumers face financial decisions, those uncertain about their economic status find seemingly simple choices more taxing. The findings suggest that the cumulative burden of these decisions could disproportionately deplete the willpower of individuals with less financial stability, as evidenced by a greater tendency among the economically disadvantaged to consume food and beverages while shopping, a sign of giving into impulse under the pressure of financial decision-making. This intersection of willpower, economic status, and financial decision-making really shows how complex the challenges of impulse control is for folks who are economically disadvantaged. It highlights the need for strategies that address not only individual behaviors, but also broader economic factors that influence decision-making and self-control. Now the part you've been waiting for: how to improve your willpower. Out of sight, out of mind. Walter Mischel's marshmallow experiment showed that preschoolers who distracted themselves from the tempting treat were more successful at delaying gratification. Adults, too, can benefit from the out of sight, out of mind principle, reducing the likelihood of indulgence by keeping temptations physically out of reach. Environmental design and making things you don't want to do harder while making things you do want to do easier can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You are much less likely to reach for cookies if you don't have them in your house. You are much more likely to hit the gym if you lay out your gym clothes and keep your gym bag by the door. You are less likely to scroll on your phone in bed in the morning if you charge it in another room overnight. Plan for the unexpected. Implementation intentions, or if-then plans, are a strategy I use with nearly all of my clients, and they have proven effective in situations that would typically require self-control. These preemptive strategies reduce the need for in-the-moment willpower by automating decision-making processes. Examples of these could be knowing what you will order at a certain restaurant before you go, having a plan for working out indoors when it's raining, or knowing what you will do if you forget to bring your lunch to work. When you have answers to these questions before they happen, you don't have to rely heavily on willpower to make them happen. You just execute. Set rewards for yourself. Many of these studies show that we are motivated by rewards. Set appropriate rewards for the behaviors you want to see. Get yourself a massage, take yourself to a movie, buy yourself a new audiobook. Make it a reward you will enjoy, and it will help you flex your self-control muscle. Make sure you're eating enough. Low-carb brain is not a joke. Our brains need fuel. And if you're constantly underfueling yourself, you open yourself up to making poorer choices in all areas due to willpower depletion. Make sure your calories are set at the right level for your goals and no lower. Keep healthy snacks on hand so you never go too long without eating. Don't try to do too much at once. The wisdom of tackling one goal at a time, rather than overwhelming yourself with lots of goals at once, really makes sense with the understanding that spreading your self-control too thin can lead to failure across the board. Focus on just 1 or 2 new things so you're not placing high demands on your willpower all day. Practice. A lot. Like muscles that grow stronger with exercise, regular exertion of self-control will enhance willpower over time. Occasionally challenge yourself to resist something that might be a little uncomfortable for you. I've had a client who told me they couldn't trust themselves with peanut butter ever again. And after a time, once they were comfortable with the idea, I had them keep a jar of peanut butter on the counter with a spoon in it and not touch it all day. We worked up to that, but it is a good example of how over time your self-control can get stronger and stronger. Once a new behavior becomes a habit, you've now developed discipline, and it will require so much less conscious effort to maintain, freeing up your willpower for other challenges. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know, is willpower something that you struggle with? I know that it is absolutely something that I have struggled with and still struggle with in some areas, and I would love to hear how you guys tackle that mentally, physically, environmentally, or what have you. If you liked the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, all the things I'm supposed to tell you to do at the end of a YouTube video, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.